Getting warmed up there.
Feels good.
All right, it is Tuesday, September 7th, 5:45 PM. I'm going to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are council members, Barker in for Lang, Harris, Bub, Labutus in for Blake, and Marmee. First item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Newark to enter into a community development block grant funded subrecipient agreement with the hereinafter named organizations to carry out activities included within Newark's fiscal year 2021 community development block grant 1-year action plan and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Number 2, we'll talk about the CDBG itself, but then each year, as we'll do again this year, do some sub grants out to some local nonprofits in the area that are listed in the legislation. And that's what item number 1 addresses.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bub, second by Barker. Any questions and or discussion? Do we have the amounts that we're providing to each?
Yes, I can give you. Coalition for Care, 5,000. Licking County Coalition for Housing, 7,500. Together We Grow, 7,500. St. Vincent de Paul, 7,500. St. Vincent Haven, 15,000. Canal Market, 5,500. New Beginnings, 7,500. Behavioral Healthcare Partners, otherwise known as BHP, 7,500. And Newark Development Partners for 60,000. Salvation Army did not end up applying, although they are listed in the legislation.
Any further questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item is resolution 21-54, resolution authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Newark prepare and submit to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development a 1-year use of funds action plan along with an application for fiscal year 2022 federal community development block grant funds as required by 24 CFR Part 91.220 for various programs related to housing and community development.
As our application for the next year, we kind of, they don't, what we just received in the last couple of weeks was for 2021. So now we're turning right back around since it's getting close to a year and starting to apply for the next year's CDBG funds that we do every year also.
Offer. Second. Motion by Bub, second by Harris. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. For the record, Councilmember Lang is now here, so he is back in, and Councilmember Parker will be stepping down. Next item on the agenda is a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor and declaring an emergency.
This is kind of a standard boilerplate. Obviously, numbers change each year, but something that we have to do to technically certify our dollars. So we do it to the county auditor as it states.
Second.
October 1st is when it has to be there, so that's the expedition, the expedite reason.
Motion by Buff, second by Harris. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance to provide for the issuance of not to exceed 300,000 of bond anticipated notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying a portion of the cost of burial and overhead electric, cable, and telephone lines, including easements, acquisitions, and alley repairs and all necessary appurtenance thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Yes, the next 5 items have to do with new issuance for 5 different projects that we have brought to council prior to get obviously bidding and stuff. And then there's going to be some rolling of money, but this first one has to do with downtown overhead lines that we worked with AEP really for a couple years now to get the dangerous aerial mounted transformers down and to get some alleys into better use to promote economic development in downtown for the restaurants. The alleys today are kind of used for quite different what they were 50 or 60, 80 years ago.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bub, second by Labutus. Any questions and or discussion? Just for the record, and correct me if I'm incorrect, but AEP did us a heck of a deal on this, and we
Yes.
also had some additional assistance from some downtown.
There's some of that crosses over Park National Bank
Right,
land, they'll be
National,
paying some,
yes.
so we're partnering this with other entities. So
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up, but it
Yeah,
was a good timing with AEP.
exactly.
They're not always, the burial of lines is questionable to them at times. Down in Miami, it makes sense with the high winds, the hurricanes, but up here, but they were a great partner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. Any additional questions or comments? Oh, yes, ma'am. You're fine where you're at.
Okay, I was wondering whether we were planning on doing that in the residential areas, because I've been noticing in the news that the overhead sort of wiring that is prevalent in the residential areas has been a big reason for a lot of the fires and that sort of thing, and they've been falling on people's houses. And I've been in touch with a bunch of people across the country about that, and those overhead wires are a big cause of harm in the residential areas.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any such plans from AEP. AEP, pretty much any new lines they're putting underground, but due to the cost of it, unless there's something apparent, they are not doing new underground lines for
Well,
residential.
They're doing 40th Street now, and they took down a lot of trees that were in line with there, but it's still.
Right, that's the wildfires. That's a whole different thing than here in Newark, Ohio. I'm aware of what's happening with the wildfires and the lawsuits and
East and
everything.
west.
Pardon?
East and west.
Correct, that is correct. But yeah, I have not heard of anything within our municipality that has created that kind of
Considering it?
emergency. Yeah,
Are we considering it?
Who's-
Will they change the residents?
Newark, Ohio has nothing to do with the power lines, that's AEP. And if you contact them, they would tell you their plan. Because
Okay,
we
so
do
why
not.
are we subsidizing that?
This is a plan that we're trying to work with the Newark downtown area to help stimulate the downtown area and also reduce some hazards that the city of Newark has seen, including our fire department has identified that some of the overhead with the high electrical powers is a great concern to some of the,
That's my point.
yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah, but the residential has not been determined in Newark as far as anything I'm concerned.
I've actually seen sparks.
Pardon?
I've actually seen sparks in some cases.
No, that it's
Yeah,
such
yeah.
a huge, that it's gonna be a huge hazard that would create anything additional. Now, if there's an individual and they have a hazard on their property, they're actually asked to help contribute and to do anything along those lines. But as far as the city of Newark getting involved in residential, there's been nothing that's showing that there's huge hazards.
So
Because-
it means the residents have less rights than businesses.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not saying that at all. This has to do with one particular plan that we have and some hazards that we see as a downtown area. Plus our fire services are in harm's way because of where the electric is located. Are you familiar with where we're talking about?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, so you know the hazard?
it's in a lot of city.
Well, that's not, I mean, the one that we're talking about here, where we're talking about it here. They're in a small little compact alleyway in which we have these huge electrical grids that really are a huge hazard to the entire downtown Newark area, in which if one of those buildings catches on fire because of the connectivity of them could create a huge problem for the city of Newark. So am I,
But they keep
Am I-
it.
Yeah, it's close proximity to buildings. You don't have that out on the city streets.
you don't,
They're clear out at the curb when the house is set in. Their service line runs in, but not other than that. These are multiple phase lines
right,
that carry massive amounts. Now we have residents in the upper floors, which does promote business, taxes, a lot of good things. And those lines are precariously close to those buildings for exits, fire exits for them. But if you're right, getting up ladder trucks or getting up bucket trucks, and those lines could be in the way, so.
right. Okay, any further questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance to provide for the issuance of not to exceed $850,000 of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying a portion of the cost of constructing a new fourth and main roundabout and all necessary appurtenances thereto and declaring an emergency.
Yeah, this is, as it says for the roundabout out here, adjacent to the building. It is a separate project that ODOT is overseeing. We are getting in excess of $700,000 from ODOT. They did a safety study, and this is our portion of that project.
Yes.
So what's the timing for this roundabout
I'm
construction?
going to defer to our engineer on a couple of those questions.
The project will go out to bid in, I believe, December now. Actually, probably in January. So we'll have to deposit the money to ODOT by the end of December. So it'll be constructed next construction season. So the work that they do now will get the utilities through the intersection, get the street opened back up when they're done. And then when the roundabout gets constructed next year, then of course it'll be closed down again, so.
Sorry, one quick follow-up. Yeah, so do you have an idea for like how long the intersection will be closed next year when they do that?
Probably about 2 months.
2 months. Yeah, thanks.
Sometimes it all, after you get out the bid and award the contract, you got to see how their scheduling is, what it takes to get materials. That's all today is an interesting challenge with some things. And then, of course, how they fit it in. Should be great.
Any further questions or discussion?
I'll offer a motion.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Bub. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance to provide for the issuance of not to exceed $1,550,000 of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying a portion of the cost of road, bridge, and bike path improvements and all necessary appurtenances thereto and declaring an emergency.
Yes, this is, there will be multiple projects that will be funded by this note sale. We've got ODOT projects underway to replace the Mao and Jefferson Road bridges, to build a bike path on Granville Road, and roadway improvements on West Church Street from Greenway Drive west to North 29th Street. For all those projects, we still got some engineering work to pay for, and we'll have right-of-way acquisition to deal with on those. Then additionally, we have been awarded $800,000 towards construction of replacement of the bridge on Granville Road over the Log Pond Run diversion channel. That will be out in an out year, but by January of next year, we need to start the engineering work on that. So we estimate that $350,000 of those funds will go towards that. We also want to begin the preliminary engineering work on Baker Boulevard roadway extension out to Evans Boulevard. It's been long talked about, and we'd like to begin the preliminary engineering work to get some cost estimates for that. And then also we want to do some additional study and preliminary design work for roadway improvements up in the Horns Hill Road area too. That area is going to continue to grow, and we want to try to deal with some of those traffic and development issues up there for its time. So.
Yes, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two questions. For Baker Boulevard, so obviously excited about that. Curious on the timing for that. And then two, there's mention here of bike path improvements. I'm not sure I heard where in the plans we're looking at bike path improvements and what we just discussed.
That's the very first group of projects I talked about, the Granville Road bike path.
Gotcha.
We've got some engineering still to pay for, and then right-of-way acquisition. So a small portion of those funds will go towards that path there. Baker Boulevard, we would anticipate trying to get an engineer underway probably the first part of 2022 and start the study work of that.
So potentially put the construction into the 23. range?
Probably 24, I would think.
Any additional questions or comments? Entertain a motion?
Yeah, motion.
Second. Motion by Lang, second by Labutus. Any further questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance to provide for the issuance of not to exceed $800,000 of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying a portion of the cost of ice rink roof replacement and all appurtenances thereto and declaring an emergency.
Yes, we've, in 2019, we had a study done on the ice rink roof because there were several leaks, and we've been spending a lot of money over the last several years to replace or to repair those. And the roof now is 29 years old. It's a 32,000 square foot roof on there. And the 2019 report for replacing the roof, they give us several levels of repairs and replacement, but a replacement with a 30-year life going forward would cost us in the range of, at that point, their study was between $650,000 to $800,000. So we're lying on the high end of that at the $800,000 mark, figuring that that's probably where we're going to be closer to with the climate today. So the other repairs were for time ranges of between 10 and 20 years. And like the 20-year repair was still going to be $500,000, $600,000.
Second. Motion by Lang, second by Bub. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance consolidating 4 bond anticipation notes issues of the city of Newark and declaring an emergency.
Yeah, this is a piece of legislation, so that we can, what you just, passed at committee level, so we can combine them, do one issuance and save, the costs associated with that. For all practical support for the cost.
Second. Motion by Lang, second by Labutus. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation amount of $75,000.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the fire department's faced some unique challenges over the last year. Result of those challenges is an increase in the use of overtime. So we're asking for this money to help supplement our overtime funds.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Bub. Any questions and or discussion? And speaking with the director also, there was some research done and it's not, a lot of the increase is due to increased runs, COVID related. And so it has increased not only the fire department, but also a lot of the other services in the area. So this is not uncommon. We did make sure that that was something that was happening across the board. I think we all knew that, but we literally did go out and make sure that that research was done to justify it. So just to let everyone know that. So I appreciate the director taking care of that. So any further questions or discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Lang, second by Bob. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. And with that, this finance committee meeting stands adjourned.
Sean Jeremy's not coming tonight. What's the name for it? Okay, we'll call the service committee meeting to order. Those present are myself, Raph, Harris, Barker, Bub, and Sean Fennell sitting for Jeremy Blake. Up first, we'll consider ordinance 21-26, an ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 1991 Cherry Valley Road, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio, from that of MFC, multi-family condo district, to single-family residence, RH, high density district, zoning code of the City of Newark, Ohio. Morning, you look significantly different than the last time I saw you. I actually recognize you this time.
You as well.
And
Thanks.
Covering for Mr. Rhodes.
I will. This is to zoning change application that's come our way from the property owner out there, and just develop a property with single family residences, and appropriate zoning would the current zoning would need to change to appropriate zoning to be able to do that. So to planning commission after this.
So as a reminder, the process is we pass it from here to full council, does some reading, then goes to planning commission does in-depth research, comes back with a recommendation, and we have a second reading.
Yes, sir.
Public hearing,
Public hearing.
at the zoning commission, planning commission, public hearing here, and then the second.
Yes.
So are there any questions from anybody in the committee?
Second.
Motion by Bud. Seconded by Parker. Questions from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing the sign, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That passes for the motion, vote of 5-0. Thank you, sir. Up next, we'll consider ordinance 21-27, an ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 2023 Cherry Valley Road, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio, from that of MFR multifamily residence district to single-family residence RH high density district, zoning code of the City of Newark, Ohio. This is the neighboring property,
It is.
both owned by the same person,
A
entity.
little bit different ownership, but yes, there's, I think, partnership there of some sort.
Good.
I'll offer motion.
Motion by Bub,
Second.
seconded by Parker. Any questions and comments? Any or the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing this on signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That passes with a motion of 5-0, or a vote of 5-0. Okay, get that right too. Up next, resolution 21-57, a resolution authorizing the director of public service to prepare and submit applications to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvements Program and to execute contracts as required. Tell us a little bit about this, Mr. Moore.
Yes, sir. The next round of Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvements Program funding is coming up this fall, and I think our application is actually due in November, 1st of November. The project that we would wish to ask for funding on is the West Church Street Bridge replacement over Raccoon Creek. We are also receiving ODOT funding on that. However, the ODOT funding will not cover the majority of the cost of that replacement. And so we're looking at some additional funding. And our application will be for about $750,000 to OPWC to help supplement the construction costs of that project. And that will be, construction would be occurring in 2023.
We were to get that 750,000 along with the 800,000 awarded by ODOT. Did that cover the costs?
Probably not totally. I think we'll still have some cash in the project. We're at about $2.5 million right now for the bridge replacement is the estimate, and we're not through the final plans yet. So it's a significant project.
Questions from me?
Motion.
By
Second.
Parker. Seconded by Harris. Questions from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing this on signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That passes with a vote of 5-0. Up next, resolution 21-58, a resolution adopting Licking County countywide all natural hazardous mitigation plan.
Yes, sir. This is a piece of legislation that's been coordinated by the Licking County Emergency Management Agency. And for over the course of probably the last year and a half, we've been meeting all the communities and several county agencies that they're meeting together, putting this plan together. The plan was actually originally put together probably about 10 years ago, but it was due for an update. And so it's to the point now where the update has been accomplished. They've got some public comment on that update, and now it's time to actually adopt the plan. And what this would allow us to do is to be eligible for federal disaster funds and other FEMA funds in the case of any of these natural disasters that may occur. So ask for your support in approving this.
So I noticed this is coming from also including Homeland Security, EMA, 911, Safety Services. So does not necessarily have to be a natural disaster, is that correct?
This is for natural disasters, yes. The plan is basically, dealing with natural disasters, flooding, fires, tornadoes, that sort of thing. Other types of disasters are not necessarily included in the plan.
Questions from the committee? Motion by Bub,
Second.
seconded by Harris. Questions from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing this on to council, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Move forward with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, sir. And that concludes the finance committee, I'm sorry, the service committee. And I believe concludes all committee meetings for the